Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome back. This is Ovaya Inspiración. It's great to be here again. This afternoon, we are going to talk about something serious. And as you guys know, lately I've been having different people on my channel as human trafficking survivors. And today we have another guest, and it is Juanita Thomas. Uh oh.
Hello. Hi,
Okay.
everyone.
What's up, girl? How's it going?
It's going good. Everything's going good.
Awesome, awesome. So before we even get into your story, all right, I just want you to introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, your background, where you're from, a little bit of your childhood, all that good stuff.
Okay, my name is Juanita Thomas, and I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm a mom. She's 7 years old. Her name is Jaya. I'm an entrepreneur. I do graphic design and I help people brand their businesses, all different kinds of things, business cards, banners, logos, anything that you have. I try to bring it to life. You can envision it and I'll bring it to life. A little bit about my background. I grew up in a small like town called Socastee. I went to all the Socastee schools down to Sox Elementary, Sox High School. Then the actual middle school was called Forest Brook Middle School. I was supposed to graduate in 2019, but I ended up dropping out. And then that's when I pursued in doing business. And I never stopped from there.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So, as you know, well, how I came across you, so I was just randomly I think it was like a few months ago. I was randomly just looking on YouTube videos, and you know how algorithm works. When you look at a video and
Mm-hmm.
recommending you similar stuff, and at
Yeah.
that time I was just watching stories of human trafficking survivors, and just more videos kept coming out, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like taking up my whole day just watching videos.
Uh,
And yeah, and I came across yours, and I'm like, let me see this. So I watched it, and I'm like interested. So it's I didn't reach out to you right away, but I was praying about it, and but I was just interested to know more and whatnot. But the fact that your story is slightly different than many other survivors because you actually escaped a
yeah.
situation where you
Mhm.
could have been, whew,
Yeah.
destroyed,
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord spared your life. So I want you to tell us a little bit about your story, right? You escaped a trafficking situation.
Okay. So, I'm gonna start off kind of at the beginning because, like, if I tell it, like, I have to actually start like where it started. So, back in 2021, I was working a 9 to 5 that I was at for 2 years, and I felt like I heard like the voice of God for the first time ever in my life. I felt it in my spirit. It was like He wanted me to leave that job and pursue my business full time, and it didn't make sense right then and there, but I just went with it because I already was feeling discouraged about working there for 2 years. And I did get up to a higher position, but it just still wasn't the same as owning your own business and doing what you want to do and stuff like that. And I wasn't saved at the time either until I went up there to New Jersey. So I ended up leaving that job. I quit and I started to work my business full time. And for about, I can say about 3 months, it went good. Like I was able to pay for my apartment still, my car payments, like everything was working. And then like all of a sudden it just went downhill. Like I stopped getting sales and bills were adding up and I ended up losing my car. Someone vandalized my car, but they didn't know my car payments were adding up. So like my parents were telling me that was God in that situation because no one knew but us and God. So that was vandalized. That was total taken from me. And then I ended up losing my apartment. But before I lost my apartment, I went to my friend's house and her homegirl actually came over. And I was thinking about moving to New Jersey because I had family up there. But like I didn't, I wanted to go stay with them. But then again, I didn't want to go stay with them because I didn't want them to know my situation. Like I'm about to lose it all. And then I didn't want to move back in with my parents because I didn't want to go back to the neighborhood that I actually ran from. Like I was determined to never have to go back because I grew up in that neighborhood and just a lot went on out there and stuff like that. And so her homegirl was like, there's places up north that you can go stay at, like shelters. And when soon as she said shelters, I took exactly what she said and I ran with it. Like I took it and I ran with it. So I went back to my apartment because I only had like 2 more weeks left there. And I was searching shelters up there in New Jersey, and Atlantic City actually came up. And I was like, these shelters don't look like it would be a place I'll be comfortable. I feel like they had like a big room with a whole bunch of beds, maybe, and you would have to like sleep with like everybody in the room or whatever. So I was like, I want to feel a bit more comfortable. So I just kept searching and searching. Then I came across this shelter called the Covenant House. And I was like, yo, I like this. Like they do all kind of fun things with the youth. They take them out, they be in the community. They have activities. They have a program where you can get your GED. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I could work on getting my GED. Like this would be a great opportunity for me. And so I ended up calling them. I didn't look at the reviews, and I kind of wish I did, but like it was so ordained for me not to like look at the reviews, because if I would have looked at the reviews, I probably never went. Anyways, I end up going on the website, looked through, and then I called the phone number that was up there because they're open 24 hours. And I spoke with one of the people that were on the phone, and they told me that there were other Covenant houses around the states and stuff like that. Why do I want to come there? And I explained to them that I have family in New Jersey, like in that state that I actually kind of know. So I just want to go to a state that I still have family in. Like I just don't want to go to a state that I didn't know anyone. So they were like, okay, well, we'll have to get back with you because we have to reach out to our management team. I was
Where
like,
in
okay,
Jersey?
that's
I'm sorry. Where in Jersey was this? What?
Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Oh, damn, you were over there. Okay, because I'm from Jersey, but where I grew
Okay.
up, it's like 3 hours away. I was literally across New York City, but I used to go to Atlantic City every year, or more so Wildwood, like half an hour away. Growing up
Mm-hmm.
with my family, my cousin, just vacation to the beach and whatnot. But I know Atlantic City very well. But yeah, go ahead.
No, Atlantic City was like that. I didn't do no research. Like I didn't do nothing. I just
Atlantic City is a smaller version of Las Vegas, except that Atlantic City has beaches.
okay. Oh wow. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
actually nice there, like on the beach side, but like downtown it's like pretty rough and stuff like that. So anyway, so I ended up waiting for their call, and they called me back and they had some great news, and they were telling me how that I'll be able to come. And they asked me, did I have any kids? And I ended up telling them I had a daughter, and they were like, she can come too. I was like, no, I don't want her to come because I'm going to a city I've never been to, and I feel like it's safe for her to go stay with my parents until I get back on my feet and then just come back down here and get her. And they were like, are you sure? Like they were so pushy with me bringing her, and I thank God I didn't. But they were like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. They asked me again. I'm like, okay, like alrighty, no, she's not coming. And then they were like, okay, so we do have to take you through our quarantine process, because I think COVID was still kind of bad and stuff like that. They
Hmm.
were like, reach out to management team to see if I don't have to quarantine, or I would have to stay in a room for like 14 days until I'm able to be with the rest of the youth. And I was like, okay, all right, that's fine. And the way they advertise it online, you would think like it was about maybe 40 youth in there, like the way that I seen it, like how they had so many kids there. But okay, so long story short, I end up, before I left, my mom friend ended up calling her and said that I'm so proud of Juanita. She's moving and stuff like that. You
Hmm.
remember it was prophesied over her life that she was gonna move away. And I remember it because I was like about 7 or 8 years old. The
Yeah.
pastor was praying for me, and he was like, she's gonna, before this happened, she's gonna move away. And he instantly prayed for me as if like something like bad was gonna happen or something like that. But I didn't think about it then. So I was like, okay, because I was nervous about going. And then that kind of calmed me down a little bit because I was going on a bus and it was going to take me like 2 days to get up there. So I ended up getting on the bus. My mom dropped me off, and it took about 2 days to get up there. Finally arrived in New York and waited for the bus to come get me to take me to Atlantic City, New Jersey. So I got on that bus in New York and arrived at Atlantic City, New Jersey bus portal, Greyhound bus portal. And I waited for about 10 to 15 minutes until like the lady came there to get me, because my phone was off at the time. So I really couldn't call nobody, not unless I was in Wi Fi. And the lady came in there, and she came in there like as if she didn't, like, I felt like them people already went on my social media to see who this girl is coming to stay up here. Like, felt like she didn't know who I was. I'm the only one standing to the front with a luggage, so she's looking around like this, and I'm standing just looking at her. And then
Hmm.
she walks. She had her jacket zipped up, but then when we went outside, she unzipped it so I could see the Covenant House logo. Yeah, that was sketchy, but I just didn't pay attention to that. And then that's when I got inside the van and they drove me. Like, I thought it was gonna be like a long drive, at least to them. It was like right down the road, like maybe 5 minutes at
Hmm.
the most.
So pause for a
Got
second.
Oh, you're fine. Go
When
ahead.
you, it's okay. When you were in the facility, describe what it looked like. Like, did they have like pictures on the wall? Did they have like positive messages? Like, describe what was in the facility while you were waiting.
Okay, so as soon as I walked in there, they buzzed the door open, unlocked it. It was not how it was online, like not at all. Like
Mm,
I feel like they have like different places up there to like try to advertise it, look like it's like really nice or that, but it's not. So when I got in there, it was small, like, and I'm looking around, barely any youth. It was like the most nine I seen at first, and then we ended up getting 12 as a total because like more kids ended up coming, but it was not a lot of kids in there. It was only 12 of us. And they had like a doctor office clinic. It looked like it was a real doctor
mm,
office. And then they had like a little small lobby. They had cameras all in there on a TV screen. But it
mm,
was pointing in the hallways, the bathrooms, like the rooms, like us going inside the rooms and stuff like that. So it was a bit strange. And but two little kids ended up coming up to me. I didn't know they had like little kids in there, and they were very abusive to each other, and they didn't care. Like they just watched it happen and stuff like that.
mm.
And I was waiting for mom to say something, but she always looked like she was drained and
Yeah.
tired. Yeah, so I
Okay.
was, yeah. Hmm.
All right. Yeah, you can continue.
Okay,
So they drove
so
you to the other place, like 5 minutes away.
yeah, okay. So I got in there. After I got in there, I still felt like everything was a little bit strange. So they wanted to do intake. So I went inside the little doctor office clinic and I met this lady named Miss Sam. And
Mm,
she was telling me how I would need my birth certificate. She asked me, did I have it? And I told her I didn't have my birth certificate. She said, girl, you're gonna need that for a job. So like I thought about it for a couple of seconds. Like I never had a birth certificate for a job. So like I'm like, what kind of job is this gonna be for me to need my birth certificate? But I told her that I'll reach out to my mom to see if she had it or if she could get it. And they asked for my social security number. They needed my phone number. So I ended up downloading the Text Now app, gave them that phone number. They needed my email address. And they wanted to check to see if I had COVID. Like they were just doing, I guess, initial take-in and stuff like that.
mm-hmm.
And then that's when they wanted me to take a shower. So I took a shower. They steamed out my bag and stuff. But like they were nice when I first got there. Like they were very friendly. So I ended up going outside because I used to smoke cigarettes at the time. So I went outside to go smoke a cigarette when I got there. And I was asking this one girl that was sitting outside. I asked her how she liked the place, and she was just so mad and like really bitter. She's like, "You're not gonna like this place. You just
Hmm.
don't know." I said, "They so nice," and she was like, "You just don't know. Just wait till you see." I was like, "Okay." Like, all right. And so they end up serving me some food to see if I was hungry. I told them I wasn't hungry at first. It took me about towards dinner time before I first had my first meal, but they already had something prepared for me because I had missed breakfast. They walked me around. They showed me where I was gonna lay. The living condition, it wasn't really, it was not really bad. Like I wasn't really noticing anything really bad about it at first until my eyes were actually open, and that's when I started to notice different weird things and stuff like that there. um yeah, so you want me to go into the part, because it, like in the beginning it was all sugar and sweet, like it didn't get like very scary until the
Yeah.
end to
So,
where I was ready to
so
wanting
at
to
what
leave.
point? So yeah. So at what point? Because I know you said you had different moments where it was like, like it was questionable. Like for example, when the one girl who came out, and then she went outside and unzipped her jacket or whatever to show the logo. But at what point was it that you realized, like, I guess you felt some type of fear in you that something was not right? This place does not seem like it's what they're showcasing.
Okay, so that was the night that I came in late because they were already okay, so let me go back a little bit. They were already trying to find reasons to kick me out because I guess they didn't like the fact that I was talking to the other. They want you to have your own relationship in there. Like they don't want you to communicate with the youth, which I
Mm,
didn't understand.
yeah.
We never did activities outside of that place. Like we had to find things for us to do every single day, and then they had like little classes where you can go and try to get your GED. So I kind of pretend I didn't need it anymore because like they weren't doing group activities. Like
Mhm.
it was hard to explain because it was weird. Like everything they advertised online they did not do. They told us that we are going to go do like the Christmas tree lighting that was down the road one day, and then they ended up making it to like a whole entire argument, try to make the girl feel because she didn't want to bring her babies. Then I ended up asking her, I was like, so you didn't want to bring your babies? She was like, no, we were waiting on them. They were
Mm,
the one that couldn't take the van. Like they were starting little conflicts, but trying to start conflicts between us, but we were all getting along with each other. So we had like our own little group. It was like five of us. We would leave and go pool hopping at the pools and stuff like that, or we'll go to the casino and like have drinks and stuff because there was really nothing to do, like they said
yeah. How
online.
old were you at that moment? At that time? How old?
Huh?
How old were you at
20.
that?
I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 21. And I think Noelle, she was maybe, I think she was 20 or something like that. I can't remember, but she wasn't 21. But we ended up going there. We did activities and stuff like that. But so one night I was supposed to, you got to be in there at 9 o'clock.
Mm,
And I was like, okay, hold on. I know that they're going to try to find a reason to kick me out because it was dressing up in the street, trying to kick me out in the beginning. They had this, oh, let me go back to this. It's like more coming back
mm,
to remembrance. So this one time I was working, I got a job at this store called Aeropostale. It's called Aeropostale down here, but up north they call it Aeropostale.
mm,
I worked there for like a couple of days. I went on my lunch break and they wanted to see if I was gonna do something very bad. So when I went on my lunch break, I went with my manager and another boy, and we were standing in front of the store waiting on the guy to go get his food. And then the lady came up and she had a hat on. But I already knew who she was because she had her mask on. She was an employee at the Covenant House,
yeah.
and I could tell by her eyes and the mask. It doesn't really help because like you could remember right here. So
Mm-hmm.
she was like, any drugs? I was like, huh? She was like, do you have any drugs? I'm like, no. I said, maybe you can ask the guys across the street. She was like, I just need some. Yeah, she was like, I need some pills. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. And the guy that I worked with, he was standing right there with me. I said, listen, they just trying to get me in trouble. Like, I know this lady. So when she turned around, she had a whole hump in her wig under the hat. And I knew it was her because she had braids inside the Covenant House. It was just her hair was stuffed up
Yeah.
under something. And then another time, the guy that worked there, he walked past me and he had boots on and I remembered his boots, but I kind of thought it was like maybe someone else that looked like him, but I
Mm-hmm.
remembered the. Then after I got off from work, he ended up bringing up in front of all the employees there at the Covenant House saying, what were you doing in front of the store? I said, I figured that was you. I remember the boots. Like, since you trying to be funny, trying to make it seem like I'm doing something I don't have no business. So I ended
Mm,
up bringing up his shoes. So he got upset about that. But they were just trying to set up things just to kick you out. I don't know why they do that. They intake you and then they try to kick you out. I guess they get all your information and then just kick you out because there's a lot of reviews stating that that's what they do mostly. But one night, so yeah, one night I actually was supposed to be in there at 9 o'clock. 9:16, I went to the door and I asked them like let me in. This is Juanita. They let me in and they were like, where you been at? I said I wasn't paying attention to the time, and they were like, all right, that's fine. You got chores to do. I was like, okay, and I vacuumed the whole entire downstairs floor that night because that was my turn. And then I went upstairs to the guy, and he was on the girls' floor inside the little office. And before he was getting ready to leave, he said, where you been at? I said, I wasn't paying attention to the time. And he was like, sex trafficking is bad. I was like,
mm,
okay, all right. And then he said it again. Yeah, he said, sex trafficking is bad. I said, okay, like I heard you. I'm trying to walk to my room. And then
did
the
you
last
know
time he
what
said,
that was at that moment?
no, I didn't.
Mm,
I didn't know what it was at that moment. So the last time he said it so evil, and his pretty brown eyes, literally I saw them things turn pitch black. instantly. Like
Hmm.
he probably had a rage in him because his whole eye color changed. And then he walked out. And then I kind of walked really fast into my room and told my roommate that he said sex trafficking was bad. And she was like, "Yeah, it's bad." I said, "No, girl." I said, "That man said that junk evil. Like this is something." Because the way he said it, she was like, "That's strange." So from that moment, we started to talk about every little detail about that place, down to the living condition, like how they didn't have like coverings over the outlets, so like you could easily get shock, and that was over our heads. The lights in the room was had no covering on it. It was just like the, those big lights that have like the pole looking light bulbs,
Mm-hmm.
and okay, that didn't have a covering over it in the bedroom. They have the windows locked. You can't open the windows like if there was a fire. And it was very cold. Like instead of them running like maybe heat, they ran air in the cold winter time, and they give us like three blankets to sleep with. And then we went to the bathroom. We talked about the showers. We talked about every little thing that we brought to our attention. Then I told her how one night they gave me a medicine, ibuprofen, because I told them I wasn't feeling good. They gave me ibuprofen and I took it, ibuprofen, and I took the actual pill, and it made me even worse. So I was making myself throw up in the bathroom because whatever they gave me, it wasn't settling with my stomach. Like it made my stomach feel like I had food poisoning, because I had food poisoning before and I know what it feel like, that kind of cramp you get. And I had to make myself throw up. And then once I did that, my stomach went like perfectly back to normal. So whatever they gave me, it was trying to make me sick. They also have like a therapy in there. I mean, a therapist in there. She tried to diagnose you with things, and they try to prescribe you medicine. And I'm telling them that I don't need it. And they try to tell, well, they actually did tell the other girl that she had Tourette's syndrome, and she kept telling us that she didn't. And they said that she did. So they made her keep taking medicine, and she would get so sick, like she would throw up. She would, instead of them letting her go lay down, she would go in the bathroom and lay on the floor and near the toilet. Like it was just crazy. And I'll try to bring it up to their attention, and they would just be like, "Oh, she's fine. Do you want to go take your meds? Do you want?" They'll ask her like she's a dog or something, like, "Do you want to go take your meds?" And she'll just start agreeing with them, and they'll take her on, and they'll be like, "Thank you, Juanita." Like they care and stuff like that. So after that night happened, I was so shooken up from that moment with that man. I couldn't go to sleep. And so I start like my own little investigation. Like I'm gonna find out what's wrong with this place. But it took for me a couple nights before to give my life to God to figure out where I was at, though. Because I didn't really understand why I had to come all the way up from South Carolina up north, even though it was my choice, but I still felt like I couldn't turn around at the same time because it was like predestined for me to go up there. I asked God, I was like, "God, what am I doing in this place? This place isn't showing genuine love. Like, if anything, they're breaking you down. And I have a family at home who loves me, who shows me genuine love and care." I said, "Lord, just show me a sign so that I know I'll be great for your kingdom." And I was crying out to him because he took all my friends away from South Carolina. It was like very like horrible. So I ended up going to sleep that night, and that's when I woke up the next morning and I remember having a dream, but it was like the logo of the place and it was like clouds was around it. And I don't know if God was trying to tell me something then, but I ignored it because I'm like, I'm not going back home, and I'm definitely not moving in with my parents to go back to the same neighborhood I like literally ran from.
Mm.
And that's when everything went left. So that it went into that night with that man, and then I end up felt like I had enough for information to go to the police because I ended up talking to people in the street about that place, and they were telling me the age limit, like they don't take 21-year-olds, and I end up telling them, well, I'm 21, and I end up saying I'm in that place, and the boy ended up looking at me like how did you get in there? Like they only take people 18 and younger. And I ended up going to the hospital, talking to the nurse I felt comfortable with. Everybody gathered around to listen to what I was saying. I was telling them how mean they are to them in there, how they make them feel like they can't get a place on their own, like they're trying to keep them. It's
Mhm.
not that hard to get an apartment. All you have to do is get a job, get income, state that you're working there for like, I mean, at least 3 to 6 months so they can see you got income coming in. But they're making them feel like they have to do all different kind of things just to keep them in there, to make them feel like they need them, but they don't need them. And I had a place before. That's what I was trying to tell them, but they were trying to brainwash them and stuff.
Mhm.
So.
So two questions.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah, you're
questions.
fine.
Um, None of the youth that was there,
Hmm.
they did not tell you anything or any details of, I guess, their own experience or probably what they've seen to you.
No, they were just saying how they got one of them were on nicotine pills, and he told me it wasn't working, and I told him to stop taking it because I don't believe they're nicotine pills, because he was still able to smoke cigarettes and stuff and he couldn't stop. This one girl did tell me that she didn't have Tourette's and they kept making her
Mm,
take medicine, making her feel like she had Tourette's. They were mean to her emotionally. The way they did this other mom, she was a single mom, like they abused her kids in there, and they
mm,
made her seem like she was pregnant again. So they gave her like some blue pill. I guess they were trying to tell her it was a Plan B pill, but I don't believe that a girl ended up pregnant again, because where did she have time to do that?
yeah.
I didn't. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I didn't understand that. She was always in there. She could never get a job, which they said they'll help her with childcare, but they kept getting her hopes up just to tear her back
Mm,
down, basically. I was able to witness this stuff. They didn't really kind of tell me. They like to start confusion and fights between the boys with each other, and they'll try to handle it on their self, like on their own, because they tell us an intake that we're not allowed to call the police. Like they're able to handle everything that goes in there. Like if you call the police, you're going to get kicked out. So I
yeah.
felt like once I went to the police station, I couldn't go back there.
Yeah.
So they try to offer me that I can go back and stay there, but I
Mm,
was like, no. At this point, I feel uncomfortable the way that y'all like literally drove fear into me,
right.
and I
Right.
never in my life.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
So, and the second question I want to ask, since they mentioned that they only accept what 18 and under,
Like yeah, like
like
18 and
how did they like slide that through where they just had you in and you're 21? Like that's a
yeah.
poor job to, that's poor job on their end to, not find out what your age was. I mean, like, how you not go to the extent of finding out, right? They would ask for an ID or birth certificate or whatever the case may be to know what your age is. So they probably
And I
didn't
didn't
even care.
know that. Yeah, I didn't know that until the person on the street, because he worked at GameStop, and I asked him how old you have to be to get in there, and he said they don't take no one over like 20 something. Like you got to be 18 and under. And I ended up saying, well, I'm 21 and I'm in there, and he was just like shocked. Like I still have him on recording. Like he couldn't believe that I was in there. And then I ended up thinking it was strange. So I thought the place was a whole fake place. Like I didn't know there was more like organizations. I knew it was more organizations like them, but I thought like that one there in Atlantic City was actually like completely fake. Maybe they opened up their own there,
Hmm.
but and the real ones were like in the other states and stuff. That's how I felt, because that's what he had told me about the age limit. And then the other girl ended up saying that you had to be like 12 to 18. And now online they got it 18 to 24. And it
Hmm.
wasn't up there before I left. Like they keep changing. I don't know why they keep changing the age. Maybe they have other people looking at the website. I don't know. They just keep going back and forth with the age thing.
Yeah. And at this point, how long were you there so far? How many nights?
Um, I was actually on my 2 weeks, because
Wow, two
I was
weeks.
there for 2 weeks and 5 days. Yeah, I was only there for 2 weeks and 5 days, but at least on the third day, that was when I started to realize. Because then after I realized that he brought up the sex trafficking thing, I had
Mm,
like 2 days left in that city, and I was refusing to go back there after I went to the police station, and then they tried to make me seem like they were on my side, and then again they weren't on my side. They try to make me feel like I was crazy, and I know I'm not like, I know I'm not crazy. Something's not right about this place. I just can't get my fingers on it. Like they're
mm,
just messing with their mind. Like, and once you get someone's mind, like you could do anything. Like you can control it however you want to. And I told the officer about it, and he was like, hold on. He was like, there was this boy that was there this one time, and they got into a fight outside, and I went to go check on them. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, and they wouldn't let me inside. I was like, okay, so you see that they don't let no one inside from the outside. Like you actually have to be in there. And then the other guy was like, yeah, and this other boy, I was trying to check on one day, and then he went inside, and then he came back outside, and he just vanished. I think that officer was trying to scare me, but they told me I was going to talk to a detective, and they just kept me there just to play with me. And then I actually sat in the booth and ended up picking up the phone to talk to someone else, and they were asking me about what's happening, and I told them everything. And that's when I hung up the phone, and then this lady came in there. I think she said she was from Thailand or something like that, on the other side. And she was like, they're just trying to help the kids with their social. They're not doing, this is how she was talking. They're not doing anything with the social. They're just helping the kids. And I lift up my paper. I'm like, how does this lady know what I'm talking about? And I scooted back. And then I told her, just leave me alone. I said, I don't want to hear this. Can you please leave me alone? And she got mad and upset. And she grabbed this bag. And I knew it was my bag after she slammed it down on the table. She slammed it on the table and walked out of the door. And that's when I got out of the booth and I walked out of there really slowly. And I noticed it was my bag, but I felt in that moment that was my bag with someone else's clothes in it. That I felt they actually killed, that they were trying to set me up with. And that's when I peeked out to the door, and the lady was looking at me very mad. She was smoking a cigarette, and I walked back. And they finally had officers to come pick me up and escort me back to the Covenant House. But I let the officers know right before I left. I said, this is my bag. But I said, these are not my clothes in it. She was like, just don't touch it. She had a whole attitude with me. And then I got in the car, and then I was trying to tell them in the car that they couldn't go on the inside, and they were conversating with each other like they were ignoring me. And then we finally got there. They opened the door like it was nothing. Like when I said that lady clapped that door and went inside like it was nothing, I'm like, hold on. Y'all just said that y'all couldn't go inside. I didn't get it then, so I was confused there. So I stood inside the building, and that's when I noticed, and I turned my head and I looked at the TV. The cameras that they had pointing on the inside at us was pointing on the outside. Like all the cameras was facing outside, 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 outside. I'm like, what the world? How they
Yeah,
press
that's
the button?
kind of
Then the
off.
guy, yeah, I was very lost. And then the guy ended up saying, he was like, we're not holding her hostage here. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, we're not holding her hostage. She could just leave if she want to. And the officer, she didn't say anything. It was like everybody was in role play, honestly. As I think about it, it felt like everybody was in role play. Like they had this all plotted out plan. And then I
Mhm.
turned my head, and like how the classroom doors have like the small little window. Okay, on the other side of the door, there was this bigger boss lady. She was waving at me like this. Like I'm telling you, like it sounds crazy, but that's what she was doing. Like she was like this. I'm like,
Like some type of horror movie you were in.
yeah, that's what I was in. That's why I didn't go to sleep for the past day, because Noelle, the white girl, she ended up going to sleep. And I'm like, okay, that's you. You can go to sleep. Like I feel like when you're in like a horror movie, like us colored people, we about to know. We're not doing games. And she went to sleep like she was a baby. I'm like, nope, I'm
Mhm.
staying up the rest of the night. And I stood up for 2 days too. I wasn't playing because y'all not about to snatch me up. At that point, I felt like I was gonna be snatched.
Yeah.
So that's when, like, you can go upstairs and get your stuff. I'm like, no, thank you. I said, y'all can bring it down, because they wanted me to go upstairs, and I felt like the officers was gonna play along and then leave, and whatever they did to me upstairs, that's what just
Hmm.
was gonna happen. So they
Yeah.
brought my stuff down, and I looked through my bag, and I left everything that could have like had my DNA on it. Well, no, not I didn't left it. I took it with me. And then everything else I felt like they could like tamper with and played with, I left that there. And then that's when I got my stuff and I left out of there, and they dropped me off to this whole other shelter.
Hmm.
Like I was a crash. And I went inside there, and I didn't feel comfortable there either. Which you're not, maybe you're not supposed to feel comfortable in shelters. I
Right.
don't know what kind of comfort I was looking for, but I felt like that place was like not even worse. But like the guy that came out of the kitchen, because I guess they were still serving food, he came out of the kitchen like he was like a zombie. Like
Mm.
his eyes were not open big, and like he was drooling, and he had his plate, and he was walking. Maybe they could be doing the same mess up there. I don't know. He was walking very slowly. The other guy that was a staff member told me that I have to lay on the floor for the night. I got my stuff. I lightened the stuff that I didn't really need. Like I left shoes behind. I left heavier clothes behind, coats and stuff. I left all that stuff behind, got my one luggage, and I left out of the place and started walking down the road to the store. And I got me an energy drink and a can of Viennas because I was a bit hungry and I was trying to still stay up. and this other guy, he was in the store with me, and he was old, he was short, he had dark glasses on with really curly hair, and
Mhm.
he was like, I'll walk you back. I'm like, no, I'm leaving that place. And then when I walked out of there, I thought about it, like, how did this guy know I was there? How did he walk really slow? How did he beat me to the store? How did he know I was there? And then I left, and then I end up asking some people, how could I get back to the Hard Rock Casino, because that's where I felt comfortable at the most. So I was lost in the street for about an hour or two in the cold, and while I was doing that, there was so many cars riding past me, vans, white vans, and then this one car stopped. It was a white car, and there was like six other white cars. They all stopped at the stops. Yeah, they all stopped at the stop sign. The one white guy was in the car. He was looking at me like this. And so I had my phone, and I was acting like I was on the phone with my mom, and I was being loud. I had my hands moving and stuff like that, because you're not about to snatch me. So, like, yeah, I have to play it off because my phone was off at the time. So I'm playing off like I have like a witness on the phone. So
Mhm.
if something had happened, like they would know, kind of.
Yeah.
So then I kept on walking. They left me alone. And then I finally made it to a familiar apartment. That was my manager's apartment, because I hung there one night. That's how I kind of knew who he was at the same time. And I was just going to ask him, could I lay my head at his place until I got a bus ticket back home? And I think he had company, because he ended up saying, like, I'll walk you back to the Hard Rock Casino, without saying that you can't stay here, which I
Right.
understood. I was like, that's fine. I just need to get back there. That's where I felt comfortable at. So I'm telling him what happened. I'm explaining to him what happened. And I ended up crying because I was so tired of explaining this. And I just
Mhm.
wanted at least one person to believe me. And nobody would believe me. And I tried to show him my Facebook, to show him, like, I'm not a fake person, like I'm not lying, like I'm a real actual person, like I'm just an entrepreneur who just felt it, like, off her feet, like, and then he kind of believed me. I said, you'll see. I said, when I get back home, I said, you'll see, like, it's something not right about that place. And he got me there, and then he ended up leaving. And then when I sat down at the casinos, that's where I felt comfortable at. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, it was about, I could say, maybe about 15 people walked past me. And now I'm finding out it's such thing as a game stalkers, I think that's what it's called. Yeah,
Yeah.
I never knew that was a thing. So that's what I felt like they were. They were walking past one by one, looking at me boldly. Like, and then I ended up calling my mom, because I was in Wi-Fi, and I was
Mhm.
telling my mom while I was on the phone, like, Mom, there's so many people walking past me. They're just staring. Like, I'm very scared. Like, I don't know what to do. And she was like, I'm gonna be praying. And she was like, it'll be okay, you'll be home tomorrow. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I got off the phone with her, and I was just doing a little bit more research. I was trying to search on my phone to get a bus ticket. So I pulled up a bus ticket, and that's when I was trying to see if I can book one online. But the website looked like it was fake. It,
Hmm.
like, once I had paid this ticket, I wouldn't have the money back to it. So I knew they had my phone tampered with, because I ended up getting it checked out, and they did have my phone tapped.
Yeah.
And that was a fake website. So I said, when tomorrow come, I'll be able to go to the bus station to get an actual ticket. And before all of that, I went to the bathroom to put my luggage in there, because I didn't want to walk around the casino with my big luggage. And I left it in there. I propped my shoes up to make it seem like I was in the bathroom stall. And I left out of there by crawling under the next stall. And I sat back at the casino bar. It got a little calm, like nobody bothered me after
Mhm.
that. I went outside for a little bit, went back in, and then throughout the night, it was like very normal. The lady ended up getting my luggage. I guess she was like the manager of the Hard Rock Casino, and she told me I couldn't leave it in there, so I got that back. And then I went back to the bathroom about a couple hours later, and I went to sleep for a little bit because I ended up getting very tired. The next day, I started back on my investigation by talking to a little bit more people. But as I was walking around, like, it was like a veil was lifted off my eyes,
Mhm.
and I was shocked because I couldn't believe where I was at. Like, I went
Yeah.
into if it makes sense, I went into the city blind. But, like, after I gave my life to God wholeheartedly and meant it for
Mhm.
real that time, it was like something was removed off my eyes, and I just couldn't believe where I was at. So then I felt like God was like kind of ministering to me and let me know that those kids that I seen running around on the boulevard while I was there, they were young too, and they were just screaming like there was something wrong with them. And like I knew they were on drugs, but like it wasn't right. And I feel like he was trying to let me know that they once were in that covenant house and they drove them crazy, because that's what I felt like. I felt like I was losing my mind slowly but like surely. Only God kept my mind. And then I met back up with the girls that I left inside the Covenant House, and they asked me where was I at and stuff like that. And I told them I went to the police station. They were like, "Oh my gosh, you went to the police station?" I was like, "Yeah, I went to the police station." They were like, "That's crazy." I'm like, "I know." I said, "I'm gonna get his help," because they all wanted to get out of that place. Because at first we felt like, when I explained everything to them, we felt like that place was like a gimmick, like it was fake. Maybe there was like a real one out there. And I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm gonna get us," stuff like that.
Mm.
And then hold on, I did forget one thing. That next morning that I did stay up all night in that place, the next morning we all gathered downstairs and I brought them all outside, and I was telling them what the place was really like. I felt like it's still, at that time I felt like it was fake. I ended up
Right.
telling them that people are playing with our minds, like they're not real, like you see how mean they are. If anything, they make you feel belittled. Like they let you know every single day that you are in a shelter and they are over you, and like we gotta bow down to them, we gotta listen to everything they say. You see how they're starting conflicts between us. They don't want us to be friends, they want us to be enemies. Like they don't want you to talk to each other. Like it's just all kind of crazy stuff that I was trying to tell them. I said that medicine they making y'all take, I said that's not real medicine, because number one, the boy said that he's on nicotine pills but it's not helping him, like he's still able to smoke cigarettes. So what are they really giving him? I told him to stop taking the medicine, and then I told the other girl to stop taking the Tourette's medicine that they were giving her. But she was like, "It's making me sick, it's making me sick." I said, "You don't have to take it." They were like, "They said I have to take it." I said, "Girl, them people are not your mom and dad. You don't have to take that medicine if you don't want to." And then she kind of understood, but then again she still took it. And then the other boy ended up spazzing out. He was like, "I knew this place was a gimmick, I knew this place was a gimmick." I was like, "No, no, like you gotta calm down," because he was there since August, and I think
Mm.
he was like 200 pounds in August. when he when by the time I got there, he was mm, like half of that. Like he was
Right.
so small. He had weight on him, he said. And I was like, "No, just calm down." I said, "We're gonna figure it out." And that's when we left and went back inside, and we noticed how weird they were acting for the past 2 hours. They're always on time for huddle time, but that morning, that Pacific morning, they were all in their phones. They were talking to each other quietly, the staff, everything, as if they heard me and my roommate talking about them,
Mm.
the living condition, that whole entire night. So back to the part when we met up the next morning, when I left the Hard Rock Casino, we met up on the street, and I told them I did go to the police station, and I said they weren't really helping me. They made me feel like I was crazy. And they were like, "It's fine." They was like, "Just go home and figure out what's wrong with this place, and you can always like come back and get us." Because I
Mhm.
told them, I wanted to give them hope, like everything's gonna be okay, like I will come back and get y'all. I didn't know how during that time. I just knew something was going to end up happening. They tried to make it very impossible for me to leave that city, because I was still waiting on money to come through from Cash App from my
Mhm.
mom. And she was at the bank, and I ended up speaking to the branch manager. She was like, "The money is in the account. That's on your end." Every single time I tried to get the money from my mom, it kept saying screen timed out, or it wasn't saying decline, screen timed out, or something occurred, like I couldn't receive the money. And I'm like, these people are really sitting here trying to make it like impossible for me to get the money. Like, why are they making it so hard? Like, I
Yeah.
just want to go home. I will leave y'all alone. Like, if y'all think I'm about to go home and like do something, like I'm
Mm.
not. That's how I wanted them to feel. So I ended up calling. My mom told me to push my pride to the side and call my auntie, and I ended up calling her and told her where I was at, and she ended up sending her granddaughter to come get me. And she told me to meet her at I can't remember what it was called. It was some nice hotel or whatever. I ended up meeting her there. But before I left, we sat and got some food, me and Noelle, because she was with me the whole entire time. Like, she seen how they were still riding in their cars, riding past, looking at the both of us. a staff member had a baby in the car. She was parked in front of the store looking at us boldly. Like, I don't know why they thought, like, with them looking at us, like, it would scare us. It kind of did, but at the same time, it didn't. And then at the bus station, there was the lady that was at the Covenant House, same lady with the braids. She was behind the desk at the same time I was trying to get a bus ticket back home, but the money never came through. And why are you behind this desk at the same exact time I'm trying to get home? Like, what are you trying to do? So I was just staring at her. She's like, you don't have to tell me where you're going. She's like, you could just go to the kiosk. I was like, looking at her. I wasn't saying nothing to her. So I felt like she was trying to send me somewhere else. So I went to go tell the patrol officer they had there, transit officer, I guess that's what they call them up there. I told them, and the man yelled at me so loud. He was like, just get on the bus. You're not going anywhere. Like, get on the bus. Like, the whole place echoed, like everything got quiet. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to let you make me upset. And then he looked at his friend and he was like, what is wrong with these people? And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna let you bother me. So long story short, my cousin ended up coming to get me, and I ended up telling her where I was at because she asked me where I was at in Atlantic City, New Jersey. And I told her I was at the Covenant House, and she tried to tell me up and down that I was at a rehab. I was like, a rehab? I was like, no, I wasn't at no rehab. She said, this is how she talked because she's from the city. She was like, I know for a fact that you were at a rehab. I said, no, ma'am. She said, yes, you were. She said, my mom used to work there. I said, okay, well, your mom's going to jail too because that's not a rehab. I know what that place was. Like, that's not what they advertised. And so we ended up stopped talking about it. And then I finally got there to my aunt's house and I told her everything. And she was just looking at me like, did you do any research before you left? I was like, no, ma'am. So long
Mm.
story short, I made it back home and they end up following me down here too as well. It's like a
What?
long story.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, that's what.
That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So, my goodness. So, before you even continue, somebody asked if you wrote a book about this, what would the title be?
I am actually writing a book, and it's not gonna be published until after it's exposed. But the name of it, they should have killed me when they had the chance.
Hmm. Interesting. I'll be looking out for that. So yeah. So okay. So now after all of that crazy, stuff that's happened, you go back
Mhm.
to South Carolina, right?
Mhm.
You go back to South Carolina, and what now? Because apparently it's still not over, even though you
Yeah,
left Jersey, but it's still
it
haunting
wasn't.
you, and you still wanted to find out who these people are or what places were, because and you did find some stuff. So what happened
I,
when you go back home?
I don't know. You see the where's the camera pointing at? It's not working.
It's good. I see you now. You're in the middle.
Okay. I don't know
Yeah,
why I did that. Okay. I think
yeah.
it's better on a computer. Next time, that's probably what I'll use. Anyways, so before I went back home, well, actually, before I went to my auntie house, I want to say this good title. Thank you. I wanted to let them know because I felt like they were gonna follow. I really felt like they were gonna follow me to her house, and I didn't want them to. So I ended up calling them. I called the Covenant House, and I said, I can't remember the guy I spoke to, but if I see his face, like I'll know who he is.
Hmm.
I told him, I said, I'm sorry for going to this is what I did because this is how scared they had me. I was like, I'm sorry for going to the police about you guys. I said, y'all are good people. I said, I just want to leave all this stuff behind me. I said, I won't do nothing else. Like, I'm done. Like, I just want to go back home in peace. And he was like, okay, well, we just want to make sure you're okay. I said, yeah, I'm okay. I'll be fine. And then that's when I hung up and I got off the phone with them. And I only said that to them because I didn't want them to bother me anymore. And I
Right.
knew that I still was going to do something about it when I did get home. So when I finally got home, I sat at the house for a little bit, and before I actually went to the police station, I felt like everything I did up there, it was a waste because
Mm.
I tried to help them while I was up there, and then half of me also helped because I didn't want to come back home as well. Like I said, I didn't want to move back in with my parents, do the walk of shame in front of everybody, and I was very sad for like a first couple of days.
Mhm.
And then that's when I ended up getting a FaceTime call from one of the girls up there. And she was like, Juanita, guess what? I was like, what? And they end up kicking her out too for 2 days because they saw her talking to me before I went home. And then like that was her punishment for talking to me and telling me
Wow.
things. They kicked her out in the street for 2 days. Yeah, in that cold, she was on the street for 2 days. And then they kicked out this other boy because he stopped giving his information to them. Because I told him, I said, don't give no more information to them. Don't sit there and talk to them people about your past because they're trying to
Mhm.
figure out what triggers you and how they can use it back on you. And that's when the girl was like, Juanita, I don't take the medicine no more. I was like, really? I told you you don't have to take it. She was like, yeah, I didn't know. I was like, yeah. I said, don't you feel better? I said, your skin is clearing up. Her face was like turning into scales. Like it was very weird. Yeah. And then the only way she could explain to me, she brought up some movie about this mom forcing her daughter to take dog medicine. That
Mhm.
was the movie how she described to me about, and I ended up watching that movie, and that movie wasn't like, it was really bad. But anyway, so I got back home, got off the phone with them, and I was like, you know what? They want to get out of there. It got to be something that I could do. I turn on this pastor. I don't watch her no more, but when I first started my walk with God, I was watching her. Her name Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts,
Mhm.
and she said what she said that day. She said, you could have doubt, you could have a little bit of doubt, but take that doubt with you. So I was like, okay, I'm having my doubts about this, but I'm gonna take this doubt with me. So I got up, I got dressed, and I rode down to I rode to the library first. And when I got to the library, I was on the computer trying to print out stuff. But what was very weird, the library, you can print out stuff every single day and it's never a problem, but just that day that I was trying to print out something, I noticed this white guy. He came inside, he sat in the middle, he had a computer. I think he tampered with their stuff to where I couldn't print out stuff. And then I went to the desk and I told the guy, I was like, what's wrong with the printers? I can't print out stuff. He was like, yeah, we're having an issue with it. This never happened before, but we'll get to it. And then I didn't want to explain to them about that. I didn't want to go through all that, explain
Yeah.
that stuff to. But he was like, "Did you notice that guy hovering over you?" I said, "What guy?" He was like, "Yeah, there's a guy in here, very tall. You didn't see him?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see him." So I was on the phone with my homegirl, and I was like, "Girl, you hear this? Like these people are following me down here." She was like, "Yeah, I heard that." And then I walked out of there, but then I also noted this guy. He was probably from New York. This man was tall. He kind of got features of Donald Trump. He got black hair. He had this big yeah, he had black hair but shaped like Donald Trump.
Mhm.
He was tall and he had this big trench coat on like he was from New York. It wasn't even that cold down here in South Carolina. Like, what are you doing wearing something that thick? So I felt like I was somebody they sent down here. But when I was on the way to the police station, when I said it was so many New Jersey tag cars in front of
Mhm.
me, on the side of me, New Jersey, New Jersey, like I was trying to make sure like I wasn't seeing this stuff, like, but it was really for real. So I drove down Socastee Boulevard so fast. I went about 80 miles per hour and I finally made it to the police station. And then I got inside there. And then I was like drained. So I asked the officer. I ended up asking the officer. I was like, "Are you a real officer?" I knew he was a real officer, but like if I felt like I needed like a little more confirmation that he was. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a real officer." I said, "Okay," because I dealt with some really sketchy ones up
Yeah.
north. And he's like, "What could I help you with?" I was like, "I want to tell you something, but I don't want to sound crazy." I said, "I have this case that I feel like could break all nations." But then I end up correcting myself. I said, "I have this case that will break all nations because of God, because like he gave this to me." Because the
Mhm.
only thing that kept me on that street while I was scared, afraid, cold, was like, God, you wouldn't put this in my heart to give me fear. Like, there's something wrong with this place. There's something about this place, and I just can't get my finger on it right now. So I went to him, told him everything. He was looking at me like as if he wanted to cry for me because I didn't tell him like a little bit more. Like, I don't want to sit here and hold you up because it's still a lot more. But I told him everything. I gave him my recordings. I gave him me and my mom text messages because I ended up texting my mom and she was encouraging me, but I was telling her that there was this lady in here that was being a big bully towards me. Like she was trying to break my whole entire like confidence. Basically, she really was, because I was wearing heels and stuff. Like I was. been the type to keep it kind of cute and classy. But like she was like making me feel like I was trash in there, and they shouldn't make you feel like that. So I was telling my mom, send the messages to him, emailed it to him, and he told me to give him a day. And I was like, okay, can you like please hurry up, because I feel like they're gonna kill these kids now. Like I'm back home, like they're gonna do something to them. And then the next day, he ended up emailing me. And I was like, okay, hold on. This email says that they're not able to do anything because it's out of the jurisdiction from our area,
Mm-hmm.
but the contact human trafficking hotline. I'm like,
Hmm.
human trafficking, like what is this mess? So I went back to the police station to make sure that it was him that messaged me, because I was receiving a lot of weird emails from different places. It was very strange. And when I did try to send emails out, because I was trying to send my information to my mom phone, but the emails wasn't going to my mom phone, like they were going somewhere else because they had
Hmm.
my phone tapped at the time. So I went back to the police station. I asked the guy, I was like, is this real? He was like, yeah, that's me that emailed you. I was like, okay. I said, thank you, have a great day.
Hmm.
And he was like, just check it out and call them. And I was like, all right, have a great day. So I checked them out and I called them and I told them everything, and they told me that I was definitely in a human trafficking situation. And then when they said that again, I told them everything, and then I went back online to see what human trafficking was. And when I seen what human trafficking was, I was screaming. Like, it
Wow.
said online you had to have a whole escape plan to leave. Like, don't let them people know you're leaving. Like,
Hmm.
I was screaming because everything that was listed on there literally took place in that place. And they also do sex trafficking, because I say sex trafficking as well, because if you go on all the Covenant Houses reviews, some girls, like all the cries are in the reviews. They're crying out for help, and no one's taking the time to help and read that stuff. The lady said that she was raped in there.
Hmm.
Another girl said that they were touching her in there. Like it's a lot of stuff, but they have a whole strategy. They have a plan. Like they're hiding behind an organization that can switch you from state to state through the organization to make you
Right.
feel like you're help, but they're really selling you like you don't know it. Like they have like a whole agenda by hiding behind that organization. And so I ended up doing more digging and more researching, and I ended up calling them back, and I was like, can y'all help them and stuff like that? Like, what can y'all do? They were like, well, we reported it to the FBI. I don't know if they've been investigating ever since, but that's what they told me. They reported it to the FBI, and these things like this take time. I guess they have to build
Mm.
up a case and stuff,
Right.
or yeah, so I ended up telling them all of that.
Wow. Wow. So damn. And mind you, like I said earlier, even though you went back home to back to your home state, you still had to deal with this, and you wanted to know what the heck, like who are these people?
Mhm.
It wasn't like, oh, it happened to me. I could have died, this and that. I went back home and I continued living my life. No, you were
Yeah,
so adamant.
and yeah, and weird cars was riding through the neighborhood. Like this neighborhood, like who's in and out. Like when I came back home, all kind of weird cars is riding through out here, and I knew it was them. And I was fearing for my parents and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
was like, y'all keep the doors locked while I'm gone, because like I don't want them to mess with y'all. Like I don't want nothing to happen. Like I was
Yeah.
scared to where I didn't want my little brother to walk to the store. I was like, mama, them people might snatch him up. Like he's easy to be like seduced. He's very sweet. My little brother is very sweet.
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't want none of that stuff happening. I was very fearful. And that's when I ended up talking to my former pastor, and I told her about everything. And what changed my fear, she was like, Juanita, God is always with you.
Hmm.
I feel like God left me in New Jersey. Like that's how I felt. And I was like, wow, like I need to hear that. So from that moment on, I stopped being scared. Like and people can't do anything to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And did you ever get to call the human trafficking hotline when the cop police told you or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's they were the one that told me I was in a human trafficking
Ah,
situation.
okay, okay.
Yeah. And then because I kept calling them back, telling them more things, and I thought they could do something that same exact day. Like I wanted them to close that place down the same exact day, because that's
Mm,
what I promised them. That's
yeah.
what I told. I gave them hope to hold on to, that everything's going to be okay and they'll be able to get out of there. And I wanted to close down that day, but that's not how things went. And it's like a whole process to it.
Right. Right.
All I
So
do
two.
is pray. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how long ago was this again? Like, how many years ago? Oh, this is
So,
recent. So 2021. Okay, this is
mhm.
still, oh, this was during COVID, which makes a lot of sense. A lot of
Yeah.
sense, and there are unfortunately many organizations that have a specific name and they hide
Mhm.
behind that, like you were saying, and they have their, I guess, their beliefs or a statement of faith or whatever it is in their website, and they show pictures of them doing good things. You're good right there.
Mhm.
They have
Think.
pictures and whatnot, but in reality, behind all of that, there's creepy stuff happening. Like, this is like a horror movie, right? Pretty much that you went through. Um, so 4 years, almost pretty much, yeah, 4 years passes by. You recently sent me a file or some article. Can you
Yeah.
talk to me about that? I didn't read it all, but I read parts of it. And I'm like, this is wild. But what was that in there?
I didn't read it all either. Like I was
Hmm.
scared of reading it, so I didn't finish it. Like I'm
Okay.
still trying to process it because like it keep confirming to me that
Hmm.
because I let me say this like I believe what happened to me, but like some days, like I have like the enemy. He tortures my mind some days and make me feel like this is all a joke. Like this didn't happen to me. But then
Hmm.
when I go back to my recordings, like Juanita, this really happened. And when I went on this big platform, I'm not going to say the name of the platform. Like it was a huge platform. They had like 3.5 million followers,
Hmm.
but their followers were so mean and so cruel in the comments that it broke me. Like they said all kinds of mean things. Like I never knew people could like say internet bullies are real and they just type
Hmm.
away at home on their phone like it
I
broke me.
I
So
call them internet gangsters or keyboard gangsters.
they something else. Like they really something else too. But that article a couple days before that, I felt like God put in my spirit to do another deeper research and the investigation. And I'm like, I felt like I did everything. I felt like I came across everything.
Hmm.
And like no, there's some stuff. So I ended up searching again, and I came across an article stating someone, some boy, he was 23 years old,
Hmm.
and he had a relationship with Mr. And Mr. Ritter is the actual founder of the Covenant House. And they had scandals back in the day. Like this human trafficking, sex trafficking mess been going on for decades. Like a lot of people been commenting on my TikTok video about it that were born back in those days. They said that Covenant House is still doing this stuff. They couldn't believe it. But the guy, I guess he had a relationship with him, and I guess he was gonna like bring it national. I don't know fully because I never finished reading it because it kind of scared me. But they're trying to say that the Covenant House was connected to his murder, basically. And the detective was trying to figure it out, but the officers basically covered up his whole entire case and closed the case. But the detective knew something wasn't right. Yeah. I can't hear you. It went mute.
I muted myself.
Oh,
This
you're
person,
fine.
um, this person said, "Do you think that the Covenant homes are just in it for the money?" And which one was it in Atlantic City? Did they have more than one in Atlantic City, or was the one you just knew of that one?
They have one in Atlantic City and they have like a few more around New Jersey.
Hmm.
But the officer tried to tell me I wasn't at a Covenant House too. He was like, there's no Covenant House in our city. I'm like, are you serious? That big old building with that big old logo on the outside and
Yeah.
you work up like what are y'all trying to hide? I felt like everybody is getting a piece of the pie basically.
Hmm. Interesting. So with all of that happened, how can you explain? Tell us how did all that affect you? Whether mentally, emotionally, even physically, or whatever, spiritually, whether positive or negative, or both.
Okay, so physically, when I went up there, I had weight. Like I went up there, I was 110 pounds when I got up there, and they have you go see like a real actual doctor, like at a actual clinic inside the hospital. And I was telling them about different changes I was having. I told them like I sweat in my dreams now, like I mean in my sleep. I was like I wake up in a pool of sweat every single morning, and he was like that's strange. She said you came up here for better, and it sounds
Hmm.
like you're getting worse. And I was sharing other things with them and I felt like they were just tampering with my body, putting stuff in the food and stuff like that. Because when I came back home, I was perfectly fine. But anyways, I went up there 110 pounds. Came back home, I was 90 pounds within 2 weeks. But I was eating every single day, all day long.
Mm.
So like, what were y'all really giving me? So the physical changes. I don't want to say I came home looking like a crackhead because there's actually I
Mm.
did. Like, I'm so for real. Like, my face was decayed. I came home looking like I was on drugs. Like, for real. Like, it was bad. So that bothered me because it took me a minute to get my weight back up. Because I used to be that weight in like middle school. So it
Mm.
took me a minute to get my weight back together. Um, Emotionally, I feel so bad. Like, I would cry out to God every night
Mm.
about that place. Like, I feel so bad. Like, my heart grieves for them. Like, what else could they really be hiding until they're actually shut down and exposed? I feel like it's so much more, like it could be mind blowing what they're really hiding and what they're really doing, because I was just probably like a little bit of it.
Mhm.
And then to go through so many reviews and actually see that other kids been through so much more. I keep saying kids, but that's how they treat you. And there they make you try to feel like you're a child, but we're actually like teenage. Well, they're actually teenagers. I was an adult, and a few others were adult as well.
Yeah.
But it just made me look forward for something though, like have hope. Like this place is going to be shut down, like eventually. Like if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also grew my relationship with God. Like I felt like it took for me to go up there to give my life to God, because it was time for me to make a change in my life. Like no longer live the life that I used to live. It's time
Mm.
to pursue in something more purposeful, if that makes sense. Because I was
Wow.
just living my life
Mm.
how I
Right.
wanted to. And I've
Yeah.
been helping people because of God. Like I've really been helping a lot of people with sharing my testimony, because a lot of people have been messaging me telling me their human trafficking story, but some been trapped by their parents, and it's sad, and at birth and stuff. And I
Mm.
never knew that stuff like real. Like I just thought people went missing. I never knew like there was like a human trafficking thing, like a sex trafficking thing, drug trafficking, all that stuff. I never knew
Mm.
that stuff. Yeah.
Wow. 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 That's just crazy, and thank God for sparing your life. Unfortunately, not everybody has your story where nothing actually happened to you. Um,
Hmm.
That's good. You're good right there.
Thank
Nothing
you.
actually happened to you. I
Hmm.
mean, something did happen to you, but not in a way like many other experience. You
Yeah, I
still
know.
about trauma or whatever the case may be. So, what can you say? I guess a lesson that you have learned from all of this.
A lesson I have learned is do your research. I
Mm.
mean, even if it's not a public place, like before you go staying around with people, because some people be trafficked through relationships too. Like before you go be in a relationship with someone, you gotta, I can't say you gotta actually know people, because it be the people you know that be doing it. But I can say for me, the lesson I learned was do my research and try to not go off the first thing you hear, because like I said, I went to the shelter because I heard my friend say that you can get help in shelters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. And now you have a daughter. You said you have a daughter, right?
Yeah, I have a daughter.
You
Yeah.
have a daughter. So what steps are you taking, even though she's still young, right? But what steps are you taking or gonna take to, I guess, educate her when it comes to stuff like this? And especially that, the realities of human trafficking that exists in this, not just in third world country, but in America itself, knowing that, for example, Florida ranks third in the whole country as far as state.
Mhm.
Miami ranks number one in the state of Florida, and Miami ranks number five as far as city in the whole country.
Wow.
And but human trafficking is happening in all 50 states of America. So
Mhm.
what are things are you teaching or gonna teach, or preparing your daughter, because there's a lot of craziness outside, and women unfortunately are the ones that, not just women, men and women, but the demand is high on women or girls,
Yes,
especially
it is.
especially in the pornography world.
Yeah, that too. It's so much out there, but right now I've been teaching her, like I'm teaching her little by little, but I can say right now I have explained to her, like when we're out in public at stores and stuff like that, I'm like, Jaya, there's people who had jobs to actually go out in this world and steal kids. Like you need
Mm-hmm.
to be beside me because at any time given they could just boom snatch you up in a blink of an eye. And I'm not trying to scare her about it, but that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at right now. And as she get a bit older, like there are some movies out there, there's some YouTube videos out there kind of explain it a bit more. But she knows that kids do go missing, but she doesn't know like how. She just think there's a bad guy out there
Mm.
coming to get them and stuff like that. But I just try to teach her to stay close to me when we're out in public because she seems to like to wander off sometimes.
Okay.
And yeah, so I teach her that. I also feel like the school should go. I don't know if they do it now, but like when I was in
Mm-hmm.
school, they used to actually have like a whole entire day dedicated to teaching us about missing kids, stuff like that. It was like this platform. They used to give us these cards with our
Mm-hmm.
pictures on it, and they would teach us and explain to us that if something happened to us, they would give the police officer our little identification card. And
Hmm.
they actually took time. I don't know if they still do that now, but they actually took the time to explain to us about it. But they never told us about human trafficking and sex trafficking. That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's where I never knew that stuff existed. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not. I
I,
mean, I always tell people it's not just in movies. It's not just in India or China or these third world countries, right? And even in movies, depending on what movie it is, it's not exactly. Have you seen the movie Taken?
what is it about? I don't
It's
think I've
about
seen
a
that.
girl who gets kidnapped and by her father, and there's a whole, a whole
I
action movie.
Yeah, I
So yeah,
think I heard. I didn't see him.
yeah. So it's not necessarily like that, when it comes to human trafficking. And for the most part, human trafficking is actually familial, meaning it's by people you know, whether it's your parents, whether an uncle, a friend, or a boyfriend or girlfriend, somebody that groomed you and that you have trust, and then boom,
Mhm.
they get you, right? That's usually how it happens, unfortunately. My last thing I wanted to ask, with all of this that happened, where is your relationship with the Lord in regards to everything there?
I mean, that's my strength right there. Like, I don't think I would be okay. Like, I still feel like I would be in fear. Like,
Hmm.
without God, like, you would literally be in fear. I mean, some people go to therapy and stuff like that, but you still think about that stuff. And when it does bother me, like, when the enemy try to bring it up to me and, like, try to, like, mess with my mind about it sometimes, like, I have to go to God and to get my strength back or, like, my mind renewed because he would come in and he would start torturing my mind about those things,
Hmm.
and it's sad. And like sometimes I have like nightmares about it. Like I feel for them because it hurts me because it's still going on right now. Like I don't know how many more kids or whatever they want to say, whoever they get, keep coming
Yeah.
in and through out there who's all still stuck in there. They're still doing these things. They've been doing it for decades. My heart grieves for the ones who did lose their lives in this because
Mm.
I believe a lot of people has died through that covenant house and through these other things that are going on around the world with people, their parents and stuff. Because this one girl reached out to me and told me she'd been
Mhm.
trafficked since birth, and I'm like, how? Like it's crazy how people can do this to their own kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
But
Wow.
learn to depend on God, and I go to Him about everything. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. So I want to thank you for coming on to sharing your story. Again, I'm sure other people have gone through this, unfortunately, and are probably just quiet about it, or they just like, leave it behind and don't want to think about it, which I understand, right? That it's a trauma. Nobody wants to think about stuff like that. But it's gonna eventually show up here and there, and to hunt them down, it's something they gotta face. Not easier said than done, but it's also a reality, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I just pray for those that are in that situation, for those that are about to be in a situation like that. But there are so many people who are voiceless, so many kids, even teenagers and adults, men and women who are voiceless, are in that what you call modern day slavery. um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and I like what this person said. She said we have to watch out for who children are talking to on the internet. Man, That could be
Yeah, that's
that's another topic in of itself, another live to talk about the dangers of internet. And because especially during COVID, that's where people are, that's what a lot of people are actually being trafficked through, you know.
mhm.
A lot of things are happening behind it. So there's a shirt that I wear. It says, I think it says talk to your kid about online safety or something like that. And the back it said number 46. And pretty much is that in 2019, the average the average time for parents to talk to their kids about social media or internet is only 46 minutes, right? It's
Wow.
not enough. There's a lot of danger on social media. Kids should not even be having social media or even a phone, right, at that age, because
Yeah.
of a lot of stuff. And there's like 500,000 predators online right now. They watch what you do. They watch what you post. That's why people get scammed all the time. Now you have something called sextortion. I don't know. Have you heard of something called
I
sextortion?
something every
So
day.
sextortion. Say it again.
I said something new every day.
So
I haven't heard of
sextortion.
that.
So sextortion. For example, let's say somebody messages you, whether on WhatsApp or whatever, and you don't really know that person, but they will have a conversation with you and you build that trust with them, and then they'll send you pictures of themselves, but it's not really them, right? They'll send you a picture of themselves, and you they build that relationship with you, and over time they'll ask you to send a picture, and then you do it, and then at a random moment they'll ask you to send you $500 or some type of money, and
Other
you just get like, wait, what? It's like, I don't have that money, like, you don't know what to
hmm
do. And if you don't give that money, what they do is blackmail you. They will tell you, if you don't give me that money, I'm going to share these pictures everywhere on the internet or whatever the case may be. And unfortunately, it's a high rise right now that's going on with kids, especially boys, the most, more than girls.
oh.
So this is why we have to teach our kids, about
Mm,
the internet and social media, because it's too many things that are happening when it comes to,
yeah, a lot. It is a lot,
yeah.
yeah. And I'll say one more thing for those who are victims of human trafficking and sex trafficking, we overcome by the words of our testimony. That's what the Bible says.
Hmm.
And you speak up about it, it's I mean, it's still gonna haunt you at some point. It is because you have to speak about it and you don't know who you may help. You don't know who might hear it. And when God did give me the I don't know why I keep doing that. I gotta do it on a laptop next time. I keep turning, but I'm not moving my hands or nothing. But
Yeah.
anyway, when the Lord had gave me the release to able to bring it on the
Hmm.
internet and talk about it, because I was scared at first, but He let me know that them people can't do nothing with to you. I feel like when you have a relationship with God, He protects you, even
Hmm.
though He protects everyone. But when you actually come into a relationship with Him by giving your life to Him, those scriptures, every scripture applies to your life. Like
Hmm.
no weapon formed can prosper. Like the weapon may form, but it won't prosper. God is a protector from the things seen and unseen. And we have to realize that when we share, we do overcome. Something breaks off. Like I feel like today, a little extra thing of fear broken off of me coming up here sharing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So with that being said, we're going to end it here. I just want to thank you again for coming on, for sharing your story. And for everybody that watches, thanks for those that are commenting. Please like and share this video. Subscribe to my channel to get the more the algorithm going with more stories. I will be having more interviews coming up within the next month with other survivors and whatnot. This will be my last one for the rest of the month. I'm taking a break. I've been back to back since last month.
Wow.
But nevertheless, I'll still be connected. If anybody would like to know where to find you, where can they find you as far as social media?
They can wait. You said like
Um,
besides social media.
no, I mean, I'm social media to find you on social
Oh, okay.
media.
I don't know. But anyways, Facebook, Juanita Thomas, TikTok, Juanita Thomas, YouTube, Juanita Thomas, Instagram, Juanita Thomas.
All right, so pretty much all the same for those three
Mhm.
platforms.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And for anybody that wants to know more about human trafficking and the ins and outs of it, you can follow my TikTok, which is God dot hates dot it. God hates human trafficking. So be blessed. Don't go nowhere yet. And see you guys next month. And stay up to date when it comes to one second.